First of all, I would like to welcome Sister Shivani and thank her for being with us. And thanks to Dr. Shakuntala also, who has made this possible. We have all been through a very troubled time the last 1 year, especially the last 2 months. I think you all will agree with me. We have been called by our friends, our relatives, our neighbors, please help us. And we want to help them, but we were helpless. This feeling of helplessness really left our souls, battered and bruised. We were healers, but we were not able to do anything. And then, the idea came to our mind that we need to be healed too at this time before we can work better. And then I've heard so much about Sister Shivani. I've read so much about her that people globally vouch for it. When they listen to her, they feel better. And then I was remembered of Shakuntala, who was my student at Saptajang, and I knew that she had close connections with you. So I requested her to make this talk possible, and then I had to do nothing, and here we are today. So I would request Shakuntala, who is now running her own hospital, a very renowned gynecologist, but very connected to you and Brahmakumaris, to introduce Sister Shivani, and we can proceed. Shakuntala, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good evening and Om Shanti. Dear friends and seniors, as clinicians, we have evolved with a very firm belief of I treat and he cures. We have seen a moribund coming to life and people falling to our feet, treating us as gods. We have also seen a hale and hearty person collapsing suddenly, inviting wrath and fury of sometimes attendants and other people around the patient. No other profession has ever come so close to destiny and science intertwined together. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist, once wrote his experience in Nazi concentration camp, saying that man is not destroyed by suffering. He is destroyed by suffering without meaning. One of the challenges that we physicians usually face is that while helping people, we have to find meaning and acceptance in the midst of suffering and illness. In this process of healing amidst constant despair, uncertainties, and mass casualties that arise due to pandemic, there has been a rise in psychological and emotional problems in healthcare workers. There was a cross-sectional observational study which was conducted on 422 Indian doctors, and it was published in an Indian data by Anupam Das et al. It revealed that almost 63.5% cases of depression and 45% cases of stress prevailed during these pandemic. Dear friends and seniors, today to enlighten us on how to deal with our own trials and tribulations, we have amongst us none other than Sister Shivani, a senior Raj Yoga teacher for over 25 years, a famous TV personality of program Awakening with Brahmakumaris, recipient of Nari Shakti Awards 2018 from President of India. She is a Goodwill Ambassador of the World Psychiatric Association. A recipient of several awards and appreciations, she has widely traveled to over 35 countries and has delivered over 3,500 talks. A gold medalist in academics, Shivani Didi holds an electronics engineering degree from Pune universities. At Silicon Valley, she has addressed corporate giants like Google, Microsoft, Cisco, Amazon, and Intel, apart from regularly addressing several corporate giants and associations back home. Today, Sister Shivani will be deliberating on stress-free healers heal better. So without wasting much time, I invite you, Didi, for this talk and enlighten us. Thank you very much.
Om Shanti and good evening. And thank you so much. Even this pure intention of coming together, of healing the self, and thereby radiating vibrations of healing to each one around us. It's a very, very pure intention that all of you have created. Why in this current time am I feeling so much stress and pain? Is the first question that I need to ask myself. Because as I understand, by profession and by your specialization, you're definitely not the ones who are treating COVID directly, right? So one is all those doctors who are in COVID ICUs and are treating COVID patients directly, who are seeing that helplessness and that death almost on a daily basis. That's a completely different scenario which they have to face, which is amazing, the strength with which they are doing it. But yes, over a period of time, it starts taking a toll on our mind. So let's see what is the reasons. What are the reasons? Because only then we will be able to work on the reasons and we will be able to work on the cause. What is causing the pain and anxiety? Even before COVID. So we need to understand how the mind works. Even before COVID, we used to believe that our mind gets influenced by situations and people. So just check your way of thinking, your inner programming, which was there even before COVID. So let's go to 2019. Emotional health. You all are doctors of physical health. We have specializations for every part of the body. We have doctors for mind, mental health. But today we need to become a doctor of emotional health. And for that, we need to check our own emotional health today, because it's emotional health which is the priority right now. Yes, we just heard from Dr. Shakuntala the figures of mental health. But yet, if we check ourselves, maybe none of us fall into that category of a mental health issue. Even if we do, we are taking treatment and we're going to be fine very soon. But most of us might not. But most of us might fall in the category of an emotional health issue, not because we are doctors or healthcare professionals, but simply because most of us in society are falling in that category where we are not taking care of emotional health. If we take care of it, it's going to be perfect emotional health. But if we don't take care of it, it's not going to happen on its own. Like physical health doesn't happen on its own, emotional health also doesn't happen on its own, because in the current times, we're doing a lot of things which deplete our emotional health, and we are doing nothing which will energize our emotional health. So it's extremely important to take care of our emotional health. Now, what is emotional health? Why it's very important to work on it? Because once you start taking care of your emotional health, then it's not just your emotional health. You will start seeing the emotional health of everyone around you. You will start taking care of their emotional health, not just of patients, not just of families of patients, but your colleagues, the sisters who are working with you, the hospital staff, everyone needs help with their emotional health. So, what is emotional health? When we use the word stress, few decades back, stress was not an emotion. It was just a word in physics, and with a very simple, powerful formula. And that is stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. We need to keep this equation before us. Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. Pressures are situations. Pressure, somebody can be people's behavior. Pressure is COVID. Pressure means anything that's coming from outside. Anything that's coming from outside in my life, it's a pressure. But stress is not equal to pressure. Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. Resilience, my inner power to be able to cope with that pressure. So, pressure, numerator, the outside world, denominator, resilience, my inside world. Now, where does my power lie? My power lies in the denominator. But where were we only focusing? We were focusing only on the numerator. And we thought if we are able to sort out the situation, if we are able to change people, if everything becomes perfect outside, then I will be happy. And so, even before COVID, we've ignored the denominator. And as the pressures of life kept increasing, stress levels of society kept increasing because denominator was not being talked about. Denominator was not being taken care of. So, numerator increased, stress levels increased. And most important, we believed that that was normal. It was normal for stress levels to increase. So when anything did not happen our way, when people did not behave our way, when things were going wrong around us, we created stress and worry and anxiety. And I'm not talking of COVID, I'm talking before COVID. Before COVID. Right now, situation is different. But before COVID also, we were creating stress and anxiety. So when we say stress free, first and foremost, do we believe it's possible to be stress free? And if yes, then that's an awakening. It's really an awakening to be able to believe that it's possible to be stress free. And let's change the word. So, what would it mean to be stress free? So, stress free would mean that here I would be calm, I would be stable, I would be fearless. Fearless, I would be accepting, acceptance of situations, acceptance of people. That is all the opposite of stress. So, stress free means all the pure, powerful, healthy emotions. So, now let's go back to the formula. Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. Pressure, numerator, not in my control. Resilience, denominator, completely in my control. Numerator, COVID, denominator, still in my control. Still in my control. So when COVID started last year, all of y'all taught society a very special equation and the slogan, and that was take care, don't panic. You taught us that. Take care, don't panic. Everywhere that was written in media, through the government officials, through healthcare professionals, take care, don't panic. Dhyan rakhe, dare nahi. So within a week, you taught us how to take care. And it was simple. Everybody learned how to do it. Even a kid knew how to take care of themselves very soon. Don't panic. The second part, everybody ignored it. You know why? Because people believed, how can you not panic? How can you not panic? So again, ignored the denominator. Had we even worked on the denominator last year, even had we not worked on it before, had we worked on the denominator last year, we would be much stronger this year. Because numerator has increased, denominator had to increase many more times. But because we did not take care, as a society, I'm saying, we did not take care of the denominator. And what happened this year? Numerator increased, denominator reduced, the gap is only widening, stress factor is increasing. So, first equation today, that the denominator is in my control, and the denominator is where my power lies. And the denominator is where I am going to start focusing. I'm going to start focusing on the denominator. So I have to prioritize emotional health. Nothing is going to happen on its own. I am going to prioritize that if I have to increase this denominator, I will need to prioritize emotional health. I will need to take care of this mind. If I take care of emotional health, and this is very important for all your patients also, if they take care of their emotional health, then the chances of them tipping off to a mental health issue is almost nil. It won't happen. It won't happen if we are taking care of our emotional health, because now we have huge rise in mental health issues, and this will go on increasing. Nothing to do with COVID. Even otherwise, it was increasing even before COVID. Now, chances it will increase even further. But even now, if we inspire and empower people to start taking care of their emotional health, we can start reducing the mental health statistics of the country. So, emotional health. Now, how do we define emotional health? How do we define it? If I, the energy, who is the creator of every thought, every feeling, every intention, every memory, every emotion. These are the 5 things that happen here. Every thought, every feeling, every intention, the intention of doing something, the intention behind saying something, every memory that I record, and every emotion I create. This is all here. Who is creating this? I am creating this. I am creating every thought, feeling, emotion, intention, memory. When I remember this, then I start taking care of my emotional health. Let's grade our emotional health today on an index of 1 to 10. I request everyone to do it. Please, right now. It's just for you. Nobody else is going to know the answer, but it's very important to know where I stand so it'll become easier for me to take it up from there. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 emotional health low, 10 emotional health perfect, criteria for checking it during the day, and don't think of COVID right now. Just simple day-to-day situations at home, in the hospital, all these situations. During the day, when I respond to every situation, to every person, to every scene in my life which changes, to situations which come in my life, sometimes very good, sometimes not so good, my response to the situation is my choice, or it is dependent on the quality of the situation and the quality of the person's behavior. Again, repeat, scene after scene, we have situations in our life, and to every scene, we respond to the scene. So whenever something happens in my life, I think about it, I speak about it, and I behave in that scene. So scene is the stimulus. What I think, speak, and behave is my response. Is my response dependent on the situation, or is my response completely my choice? Do I find myself not feeling nice when the situations are not perfect? And do I find myself feeling nice and happy only when the situations are perfect? Do I find myself getting upset when people are not behaving right? And do I find myself very happy when people are nice to me and appreciative of me? Which means, is my inner world in my control, or is it dependent on the outer world? Am I able to be absolutely calm in a crisis outside? Am I able to be respectful and loveful even to people who wrong me? This is the difference. Am I emotionally independent, or am I emotionally dependent? So rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1, you find yourself reacting to situations. 10, whatever may be the situation, you choose the right feeling and you create it. Doesn't matter how much everything is wrong outside. You are always right in your mind. Right means the healthy response. That's 10. And now rank yourself between this 1 and 10. 1 and 10. Where do you find yourself? 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Rank yourself. And would be nice if you could put it in the chat box if you want to share it with others. If it's not private, put it. It's good. It's good for all of us to know where we stand, and then we can start working on it. Now, just close your eyes for 10 seconds and see the last time you got angry. And let's see where the power lies. Just close your eyes and see the last time you got angry with someone. Could be this morning, could be sometime in this week. Just look at the whole scene in front of you. What happened? What did someone do? What did someone say? See the scene and then look at yourself. How did I feel? How did I speak? How did I behave? So look at the stimulus and see your response that really happened. And now, suppose the same scene has to come again this evening or tomorrow. Situation remains the same. And now spotlight on yourself. If you have to respond again, do you think there could be another response? A response different from what happened last time. Nothing will change outside. Situation will be as bad, as tough as what it was. The person's mistake would be as bad as what it was. Can I see myself responding a different way? And if yes, then type yes. If no, then no. Every answer is correct. Situation is the same. Can I respond another way? If I get a chance to do a retake, you know how you do it in a drama, that, okay, this, you did not play your part very well, retake, act it out again. So if I get a chance to do a retake in that scene, or in any scene of life, you know, sometimes when we reflect on the past and we say, I made such a big thing out of it, I didn't need to, I could have handled it a better way. That's a retake. That's a retake. So if I get a chance for a retake, do I think I can respond another way? And because you are all saying yes, just right now do it, because it's going to get recorded here. This is called mind coding. This is mind programming. See yourself doing it right now. Whatever you feel is right. Nobody else is going to tell us what's right for me. See yourself responding a healthy way, not right or wrong, the healthy way. Because your response is creating your emotional health. So see yourself responding the healthy way, the way which will conserve your emotional health, the method which will conserve your energies here, which will not allow your energies to just fall off in that scene. So see yourself responding another way, how you would think about them, what would be a different perspective, how you would want to talk to them. You still have to discipline them if they've made a mistake. So it's not that we're letting it go, but we're going to do it a healthy way. So what would be a healthy way to discipline someone? So see yourself doing it. Your words, your tone, your way of saying it, everything is going to create your emotional health. Now, all this has nothing to do with COVID. It's simple day-to-day situations. How I think about them, I do not find what they did was right. But let me talk only about what they did. Let me not get angry with the person. The person is a wonderful person, but what they did was not right. And how do I say it to them? Now, once you've seen yourself doing it another way, and if you just visualize that scene, even right now, you will be able to make out that if you respond that way, your mind is going to be calmer. But if I get angry, my mind gets turbulent, agitated. Now, these are two responses. So when I get agitated, I'm depleting my emotional health. Because here, visualize this like a battery is going to go dip. Just one little bit, very little, but it's going to go dip. And if I stay calm and take charge, because whole day I'm going to deal with so many people. They are not going to be my way. They're going to make mistakes. They're not going to behave my way. Some are going to be nice to me. Some are not going to be nice to me. Some can even be very wrong to me. Their personality, their nature, their way of speaking, their way of behaving. My response decides my emotional health, not their behavior. So that's the next equation we need to write. People's behavior do not decide my emotional health. Situations don't decide my emotional health. My response decides my emotional health. So that same situation last week, I got angry. It affected my emotional health. Same scene, it will come tomorrow. I will respond a different way. I'm building up my emotional stamina. So what we are going to face, what we are going to focus on is these little things. If we suddenly start thinking, okay, there is COVID, okay, people are unwell, I cannot give a bed, and I'm going to suddenly remain positive in those, it cannot happen right now. It cannot. It's like saying, if I was not taking care of my physical health, and I used to get tired even if I walked about 2 kilometers, and I still did not do anything about it. I did not build my physical stamina. And now today I'm thinking that I can climb a mountain. No, I cannot. I cannot. I have to go back to taking those baby steps to building up my physical stamina. Similarly, we have to go back to taking baby steps in building up our emotional stamina. And those baby steps are going to be taken now. What if we have to decide today that from today, let's say for the next 3 months, because next 3 months, my emotional health has to be perfect. For the next 3 months, I will respond to every scene which is not my way. I will respond to it with stability, which means I do not give my mind the permission to get angry and waste my energy. Will I be able to do it? Will I be able to do it? If I give my mind this instruction, because my mind is my powerful tool, like you will never meet anybody without wearing a mask. You're wearing double mask in hospital. Would you ever forget? No, you'll never forget. You will never forget to sanitize your hands. You will never forget to wear that PPE kit if you're meeting a COVID patient. Now, can we add one more fourth thing to it? That I will always remember that I am not going to react to people and situations. Can I do that? Okay, forget 3 months. Can I do that for 1 week? Yes. Can I do that for 1 week? Because if you do that for 1 week, within 1 week, you're going to find your emotional health building up like this. Like this. Can I take care 1 week that I will remain calm and respond to the situation? Even if I get angry, I will stop myself. I say, okay, and I will say it another way. And I will again retake and say it another way. I'm teaching my mind. It's like how we taught a child how to speak. Remember, if an uncle and auntie came home and the child did not speak properly, and then what did we say to the kid? Phir se bolo, say your thank you again. And the child just did this. Stop, say your thank you and say your sorry and say. How did we teach that child? Because we knew the child will learn it for a lifetime. We just have to be the parent to the mind right now for a few days. No, you cannot say it like this. Say it again. Say it again. Conserve your energies. Conserve your health. This is something we need to start doing baby steps from today itself. Those normal irritations, those normal reactions, those normal anger is now going to deplete us. So all that so-called normal reactions, we will need to stop. Like a lot of our normal things have stopped, this is also one of those things that has to stop. These normal reactions and depletions of energy has to stop. So one is our reaction, anger and irritation in situations. Second energy depleter, when we are critical and judgmental in our thinking about people. And sometimes it's not just in our thoughts, we even talk about it. So if you find yourself thinking and talking about people, thinking and talking about people, ये ऐसे हैं, ये ऐसे हैं, इन्होंने ऐसा किया, उन्होंने वैसा किया, they should have not done this. One is you have to give a feedback to someone. That is different. If you find yourself thinking inside about people, they should have not done this, they should have done this, they could have done it like this, why do people? This inner conversation about being judgmental about people, huge depleter of inner strength. Now, if I want to build up my strength, and when I see myself thinking like that, I immediately take a pause and I change my thought. I change my thought. It's like if I go out to meet a person, I immediately stop, take a U-turn, wear my mask, and go back. Same way, everything that we're doing in the outer world, we start doing it in the inner world. That's all that it is. We start doing the same things in our inner world. So second big depleter is critical and judgmental thinking. And once it starts happening in the mind, it also comes in our words. It's so easy to talk about people. So huge depleter, thinking about people in a judgmental manner, speaking about people that way. And another one, listening to that about people. Even if you find yourself a part of conversations, which is like, and you just keep doing yes, 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 even that yes that you are doing, and you are listening from someone who's being critical and judgmental about people, you are consuming negative energy. Now, this is all going to sound very normal life. Talking about people is normal. Listening about people is normal. We don't even call it gossip. It's normal because they are like that. So obviously I will speak like that. They are like that. Go and do something about it. If you can't do anything about it, then just radiate blessings to them. Because if you are going to consume their sanskar on your mind and think and speak and listen about it, it's an energy depleter. So let's take these two homeworks for 1 week only. One is our anger and irritation reactions to situation. And second, being judgmental in our thinking about people. So we're thinking a little tougher to stop. Let's stop only at, I'm not going to talk about it. That's easy. That's very easy. That I'm not going to talk about people. If I talk about people, it's only going to be about the goodness in them. It's only about the wonderful things in them. If I have to give feedback to them, if I have to give some disciplinary action, yes, I do it with dignity. But I'm not going to talk about people. And I'm not going to do this and this and this when people are talking about somebody. I'm just going to say, let's change the topic. Let's talk about something else. Or I know that the other person has a lot of good things in them. Let's talk about that. So we will have to learn to say a no when other people want to go on and on and on talking about people like that. Because right now, we can't afford to consume negative energy. We also aware of how to protect ourselves from virus. Now we need to protect ourselves from vibrations. It's in the air. It's in the air, and we will have to protect ourselves. So second thing that we can start doing is being judgmental and critical in our conversations. So talking about people, listening about people, gently stop them and say, let's talk about something else. This is not healthy. Let's not talk this soul. Let's not talk all. And gossip to khair chhodi do. Matlab, I don't know whoever said that it's harmless, time pass gossip. Gossip is not harmless. It's toxic. It's absolute toxic. Now, both these things have nothing to do with COVID, but both these things have deep effect on our emotional health. So if we start saving our energy in these little things in the day-to-day life, this emotional strength, this inner power is going to start building. This is like a battery over here. You have to visualize this battery. This battery is going to start charging like this. And then this battery, this inner power, will be able to remain calm and stable in that tougher, higher numerator of COVID. But the power will have to be created in the smaller numerator of our day-to-day situations. Third thing that we have to take care of, which can be an energy depleter, is when we accept appreciation. Accept means internally. When we accept appreciation, like we just heard right now, Dr. Achula shared that, when we are not able to help people, it's very disturbing, right? That somebody calls us up for a hospital bed or for oxygen. We all saw that a lot of it, especially last month, and we were not able to do that for them. It created tremendous guilt and helplessness. How do we release it? Because we will have to release it. Otherwise, we're going to carry it for a very long time with us. Now, don't focus on when we were not able to do it. First, let's focus on when we were able to do it, which means when we were able to help people, when we were able to cure people, when we were able to do something for people which not many around us were able to do. So when we were able to do things for people, what did we believe? We were doing it. If I believed I was doing it, then it is that I that is going to come in the picture. So when I believe that all this magic that was getting created, I was being able to treat so many people, such wonders was happening, and everybody was appreciating me. And like Dr. shared, that okay, people can fall onto our feet and say, you're like God. If I had accepted that energy of appreciation, then when I am not able to do certain things, or when I am not able to treat someone, or when something becomes a complication, then I will also consume the failure and the criticism, which means I have to first focus when everything is perfect. In Hindi, it's a very beautiful line, and I'm sure we've all heard it many times. It is Ninda Stuti Ek Saman. Ninda, Stuti, ek saman. So Ninda, criticism or failure or not able to do certain things. And Stuti, appreciation, success, or the ability to do certain things. Now, the mind, if I have to keep it centered and sorted, then I have to take care that when I get appreciation, I keep it here in the center. I keep it here in the center. If I start consuming that appreciation, and I say, they say I'm very nice, they say I'm very good, they say I created miracles, they said I cured them, I'm so good, everybody's. If I subtle, even subtle, not in my words, even in a very subtle way, if I start feeling that, then I have consumed that appreciation. And if I consume appreciation, I will definitely consume criticism. I will. So the effort or the attention has to be taken care during the appreciation. Criticism or failure or inability to do something will automatically be taken care of. So when I receive appreciation, I need to remember I'm just an instrument. I'm just an instrument. The people who have come to me have come with their own karma and destiny. It's between God and them, and it's their karma and their destiny. I just got the fortune of being part of that beautiful destiny where they got cured, they were treated, they are perfect in spite of all the complications. If I got a phone call and I was able to manage a bed for someone or an oxygen for somebody when the person was not getting it anywhere, I have to remember I was just an instrument. It was the destiny and the karma of that soul which got them their bed and that oxygen, surrender it up there and say thank you to that soul for allowing me to be a part of this beautiful destiny. I do not take it as, oh, I was able to do this for them. The I is very risky. It's that I which becomes a depleter. That's ego. That's ego. So in appreciation, surrender. Surrender. I was an instrument. It was done through me. Everything went well. Very good. Surrender to the divine. Now, when something doesn't go right, or like in this last 1 month, we were not able to help people, please remember, we all tried our best. There is no one who did not try. So when I have to look at myself and check my karma, check my conscience, is it clean? Did I try wherever it was possible? Yes, we did. There will not be anyone who did not put in their best. Everybody's put in more than their best, stretched their capacities completely. I have to take care that I did the accurate karma, the right, ethical, clean karma. Yes, we did. But we were not able to help them. Yes, but did I make a mistake? No. Was I wrong? No. But I was not able to help them. Yes, but that is because of the situation. And every soul has their part and their destiny. I am only an instrument. I am not making or breaking anyone's destiny. I have the power to work only on one destiny, and that is my destiny. Law of karma. Every karma, we have a consequence, it creates our destiny. We can take responsibility of only one person's karma, and that is our karma. We cannot take responsibility of anyone's destiny. Anyone's, not the ones whom you were able to treat and cure and send them back hale and hearty. That also you were just an instrument and a facilitator. Treating them was your karma. They getting okay and coming out of it is a part of their karma and destiny. So we check our karma. So please today before going to sleep, and please do this on a daily basis. Of course, now the situation is better and we are not going to, ever have to say no to anybody. But sit back and also delete anything that was recorded in the last 1 month. We have to specifically by name, those who called you and you were not able to help them, write it out and release it by name. Why? Otherwise, you are creating a karma here where you are saying to yourself, I was not right to them. I was not able to help them. It's not true. I tried my best, so I cannot say I was not right. Situations and aage, their destiny. So I have to surrender that. So I am an instrument in all the good that happens, And also I played my part as the best instrument, even in those things which were not able to make it. But I will have to release that karma from here. Do not record. Guilt can stay as a very long-term trauma on the mind. Very deep, it can go into the subconscious. You won't know when it can trouble you suddenly. So please rewind the last 1 month. Check, are there any names you are holding on to where you feel you did not help and where something did not go right? Please write it out. Don't even do it in your mind. Write it out. Writing is the easiest way to release out things. Like how we write a letter in the night or we write a daily journal. Write it out. Write out their name and write out, I tried this, I tried this, I tried this. My karma was accurate. My conscience is clear. Write it out. Please do this. This is healing. We have to change the recording that has happened here because that recording is also weighing down on our mind. So I have to record another thing here. I have to remember, okay, it is the destiny of every individual. Someone's destiny was to get a bed. Someone's destiny was to get treated. Someone's destiny was to get recovered and come out of it hale and hearty, even though they were very critical. And someone's destiny said it was time for them to leave and take another costume. It was their destiny. We were playing our part in their destiny. We were playing our part. Their destiny and they go hand in hand. Everyone's destiny and they go hand in hand. So let's a karma baggage. It can get very heavy, very heavy. And most important is it's not the truth. It's not the truth. We were not responsible for what happened. So we need to write it out and release that. So these three things, there are many like that, but we will take just these three things for which we can start building up our emotional health. One is anger and irritation in situations. We will say the same thing with calm and stability, with ease, slowly, softly, remembering that the other person is also going through pain. Right now, actually, is not the time to get angry with anybody. They are going through so much emotional pain. So I conserve my energy. Second, critical and judgmental thinking about no one. No one, whether it is my colleagues, whether it's my family, whether it's my children, whether it's my patients, whether it's anybody outside, whether it's the industry, whether it's the government, no one. Absolutely no one. Let's not engage in conversations also which are doing that. Even on the groups, on social media handles, sometimes we just go on writing and then somebody's writing and we are reading, and then everything that we are writing, every word that we are reading is getting recorded over here. Even if we are writing and reading about other people, the words are getting recorded here and they are going to create my emotional health. So I need to be careful. I need to be careful what I'm saying. Even if I have to give a feedback, it has to be a constructive, respectful language, not a criticizing language, and definitely not anything that's worse than that. So very respectful, constructive feedback. Why? Because my words are getting recorded here. They are becoming my emotional health. And third, Ninda Stuti Ek Saman. Stable in appreciation. Every night, do this from today. Every night before going to sleep, please surrender the day to the God. Surrender. Everything that happened beautiful. For all of you, mostly everything that happens around you is very beautiful because you're giving birth to people. You're giving birth to a new entity, a new identity that's coming into this world. So it's all a very beautiful energy around you. You're giving birth to two people who are becoming parents. It's a new birth for them also. So energies around you are generally very happy energies. But even those happy energies need to be surrendered. Need to be surrendered. Okay, thank you. You allowed me to be a part of their lives. My destiny. What a fortune that I was a part of that child's life today. Thank you for making it all happen so beautiful, so smooth. I'm just an instrument, just an instrument. So we do that every day for all the beautiful things that happen. And for anything which did not go right, surrender that I did my best. I really worked hard on it. I'm very clear and clean that I worked. Surrender. So not just during COVID, but also otherwise. This is a little practice that needs to be done on a daily basis. So these three things, anger, judgmental, and appreciation and criticism, we start working on these three things. And let's take up a 1 week homework. Just 1 week. That's tomorrow is Sunday. So Sunday to 6th of June, next Sunday. 1 week, let's keep a chart of these three things. Just these three things. And if you start noting it down, you will see that half of it will go away just by being aware of it. And you're going to find yourself more calmer and in charge of situations. Any situation, how I'm responding should be a healthy response because that is normal. I am the creator of my every thought, feeling, word, and behavior. I need to write this down many times every single day. I am the creator of my every thought, feeling, word, and behavior. I am choosing the response to the situation, and I will choose only the healthy response. So, stress, anxiety, worry, fear, criticism, comparison, competition, jealousy, ego, these are all emotional illnesses. These are not normal emotions. These are emotional illnesses. They're not physical, so no doctor will talk about it. They are not mental health issues, so no doctor will talk about it. These are emotional illnesses. So when we recognize these as emotional illnesses, it becomes very easy to come towards emotional health. What is emotional health? Calm, stability, self-respect, appreciation, motivation, gratitude, cooperation, being happy when others do well. This is all normal emotion, healthy emotion. And now we start using these in every scene of life. Now, how do I start making this natural? So we do simple lifestyle habits to make this natural. Emotional health, first thing we take care of is emotional diet. And emotional diet is what we watch, what we read, what we listen. What we watch, what we read, what we listen is who we become. So largely, and this is very important for all your patients also, so you must share with them, especially because their emotional health is also becoming the emotional health of their child, the child in the womb or also the baby in arms. Parental emotional health is becoming the emotional health of the child. And that emotional health is getting created by what we watch, what we read, what we listen. So restricting what we are consuming through all the media and social media handles and all the messages that are flooding us. Apart from your role, your seva, your work, lot of other messages are floating around, not only during COVID, otherwise also. The kind of messages I consume, what I consume from social media handles, the kind of movies I watch, the serials I watch, the things I watch on the OTT platforms, all this is creating my emotional health because this is my emotional diet. So, content which goes in is creating thoughts and feelings. And that's why, if we go back 30 years back, so this is not even history, we'll be the last generation who would know about this. But 30 years back, when we were in school and college and we did not have all these content platforms, we were not even talking about depression. We were not even talking about stress. Stress was only in physics, not in the mind. So if we had to draw a graph of media, social media, digital media versus mental, emotional health, you'll see a direct connection there. Direct connection there. So very, very important for expecting couples, young children, very important, and very important for healers. So we take care of what we watch, read, listen. If what I watch, read, listen has ego, lust, greed, jealousy, violence, ridicule, criticism, if it has all that, which is there in most of our movies, serials, even news when we are listening, then that's all that's going in. Now, substitute that at least 30 minutes every day to consume healthy emotional diet. This should be compulsory actually for all of us now, for everybody. At least 30 minutes on a daily basis to consume a healthy emotional diet, which means I consume content which has purity, which has faith, compassion, empathy, acceptance, unity, cooperation, self-respect. Consume content of that. That's where spirituality comes in. So spiritual study, that's what we do at the Brahma Kumaris. Every morning, study class, fixed 365 days of the year. Every day, study class in the morning, because we begin the morning with consuming a healthy emotional diet. A healthy emotional diet. 30, 40 minutes, 30 minutes. Agar aap 30 minutes bhi karte hain, that's enough. 30 minutes. Even if you're not able to find time, just do it while you're on the way to work. Just do it while you're on the way to work, that you consume a healthy emotional diet. Within a month of doing this, if you consume 30 minutes every morning, within a month, you will see a change in your way of responding to situations. That is certain. So 30 minutes in the morning and at least 10 minutes in the night before going to sleep. Because both of these times, the subconscious mind is activated. So 30 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the night before we go to sleep, so that the last layer just before we go to sleep should be very clean, very pure, very powerful, very positive. Most of you do not really have a fixed sleeping time because of your role and your seva. But just try that on those days when you are at home on time and you're not going out for a delivery or any other seva in the night, try and sleep early, which means make that the sanskar of the house, that we sleep early, because sleeping by 10 o'clock, 10 to 2, has a very deep healing effect on the mind and on the body. So these are all simple lifestyle habits which we used to lead, which changed in the last few decades for society at large. So sleep by 10, 10 to 2 is energizing time for the mind and body. And if we sleep by 10, then waking up by 4:35 is very natural. 4 to 5 is called Brahma Muhurat. It's called Amrit Vela. The time itself explains what it's all about. So Brahma Muhurat means the highest vibration Muhurat. Amrit Vela means Vela time, which is like nectar. Amrit Vela. So highest creativity, the most important time when we can connect to God, meditate, energize ourselves, is that 4 to 5 time. Very beautiful. So if you are able to sleep early, then you will be able to wake up early. And in case not, just let's do it whatever time we wake up. So when we wake up, the first thing that we do is we create gratitude. These are very simple things, not even meditation. We have to still learn meditation. We just create few thoughts of gratitude. So we tune our mind to the vibration of gratitude first thing in the morning. So first thought, gratitude to the supreme power. First thought, even with my eyes not fully opened yet. Don't look at your phone first. It can wait for 5 seconds. It can wait for 5 seconds. Just first thought, gratitude to the supreme power. Second thought, gratitude to your mind and body for being healthy. Third thought, gratitude to all the people I connect with throughout the day, my family, my colleagues, my patients, everybody. Gratitude. You just don't have to think their names, just say gratitude to all the people in my life today. Fourth, gratitude to our work. Very, very important to create gratitude for our role, our work, our seva. And fifth, gratitude to nature, Prakriti. Nature sustains us. So, first thing in the morning, we start with 5 thoughts of gratitude: supreme power, mind and body, people, work, and nature. 5 thoughts of gratitude. Next is we meditate for 15-20 minutes. For those of you who have not learned meditation, to begin with, we will just create a few thoughts today, and I request you to just write these down with you. Just keep them with you. We call them affirmations. Affirmations means consciously creating a high vibrational, pure, pure, accurate, healthy thought. Healthy thought. Affirmations and visualizations are huge power. Power of affirmation, if you just study that, power of affirmation, power of visualization. And when they are used together, affirmation plus visualization, then manifestation has to happen. Sankalp se siddhi, thoughts manifest. They have to manifest. We just have to start using this power of affirmation plus visualization. So let's create few affirmations. First one, I am a powerful being. Just create this thought. You can say it right now inside and write it out also. I am a powerful being. When we are recording here, I am a powerful being, it means I don't get affected by situations and people. I respond. I don't react. I am powerful. Second, I am calm and stable always. I am calm and stable always. Third, I am fearless. I'm fearless. There's a lot of fear in the air. There's fear, anxiety in the air. So sometimes that vibration can touch us. So we create this affirmation, I am fearless. Fourth, I am God's angel, not even instrument. I'm God's angel, angel of the supreme power. God uses me, using me. And I will start feeling it during the day then. God is using me to treat this one, heal this one, here, touch this one, empower this one, energize this one. I am God's angel. Fourth one. Fifth, I am a giver. I'm a giver. I don't seek anything. I don't need anything. I need nothing from people. I am a giver. Giver means I don't need love. I don't need respect. I don't need appreciation. I'm not like this. This is an emotional depleter. This is an emotional depleter. Acknowledgement, approval. I don't need anything. I'm a giver. The nature of a human being is to give. Is to give. That's why it's called Devi Devta, Dene Wale. Even if we look at nature, Prakriti, everything is giving. The nature of nature is to give. The sun is giving, water is giving, trees are giving, plants are giving, everybody is giving, only giving. We are part of the same nature, and our nature is also to give. We shifted from our nature. That's why we've shifted from emotional health. So I am a giver. I need nothing from people. When we program ourselves like that, then someday if your patient doesn't speak properly to you, or sometimes the patient's family is not very appreciative, sometimes they can say some things which are not right, you will be more calmer and stable to handle that. Not just outwardly you're doing it even now. It won't affect you here because you don't need anything from them. You're doing your seva. It's not for in return of anything. So this daily affirmation then comes handy to us in that situation when that happened. So I need nothing from people. I am a giver. Then my body is perfect and healthy and will always be. My body is perfect and healthy and will always be. So that we don't create this thought, what if it happens to me? If it does, we get healed. But we don't create that thought. We say, my body is perfect and healthy and will always be. Then create a visual. God's power and blessings is a divine circle of protection around me. Visualize yourself wearing a divine white light circle of protection. Like you will not meet a COVID positive patient without wearing a PPE kit. We should wear a divine vibrational protection kit every day so that the vibrations of situations and people don't enter into our energy circle. So divine white circle of protection, God's power and blessings is a circle of protection around me. Now draw this circle of protection around your family. They are safe, they are secure. Now draw this circle of protection around your hospital. Everything is perfect. Everything is smooth. Everyone is healed. This is an affirmation. Everything in the hospital is perfect. Everything is smooth. Everyone is healed. And the last, we create a circle of protection for the country and the world. This is in the current times, these affirmations. If you have any personal, if you have any physical health issues, which means a little sugar levels high or a little cholesterol high or a blood pressure high or anything else. Put it in your affirmation. This is very important. My blood pressure is normal, and put the figure there, and any other ailment. This is something when you experiment with the power of affirmation and visualization, you will also be able to start teaching your patients to do this. So when you tell them this and this is not right in you, you can also tell them, you know what, just think like this and visualize that thing in your body working fine. And you will see their body responding that way. So it's very important how we are thinking in every situation. So we create these 10 thoughts in the morning. So we repeat these thoughts at least 5 times in the morning, because morning time very important. I am a powerful being. I am calm and stable always. I am fearless. I am God's angel, uses me to heal everyone. I am a giver. I need nothing from people. My body is perfect and healthy and will always be. Any specific ailment, we put an affirmation for that. God's power and blessings is a circle of protection around me. Visualize that divine light energy circle, circle of protection around family, circle of protection around hospital. Everything is perfect, everything is smooth, everyone is healed, and circle of protection around the country and the planet. These 10 affirmations we do first thing in the morning, at least 5 times in the morning. Create the thought, visualize it. If you're not initially in the beginning, not able to do it in the mind, you can say it in words. Because right now our mind could be a little scattered about so many things happening. So we say it in words, or we write it out. So 5 minutes for this in the morning, that's all. Then 20 minutes at least for consuming that healthy emotional diet. Like every patient who comes to you, you first check their physical diet. Diet plays such an important role in making us who we are. Similarly, emotional diet is important for making us who we are over here. So at least 20 to 30 minutes in the morning of a pure, healthy emotional diet. Spiritual study, your scripture study, any self-transformation book to begin with, any positive video, whatever you like. But begin the day with the highest vibrational content. Till you finish this 30 minutes, you should not consume any other content from the world, which means on any other media handles or the news, anything, except for your hospital information. To let that be the first layer of information in the morning. That's we are ready for the day. During the day, we're taking care of that 3 things: anger, irritation, criticism, judgmental, appreciation, and criticism, which we receive. Sorted. Throughout the day, we are responding through the healthy emotions. Just before going to sleep, we surrender that's happened during the day. Should be a daily practice. Surrender everything that's happened during the day. Take 2 minutes to write it out. This went well, this was smooth, this was perfect, this was surrender. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of their destiny. Something not went right. Write it down. This was my karma was accurate, my karma was right, or I have to work on my karma, it's going to be a little better next time, and surrender. So I release. It's very important to sleep with a clean mind. Emotional wounds, if taken to bed, go deep into the subconscious and stay there for a very long time. And that's why sometimes when we cannot forget something that's happened in the past, it's because we went to sleep with it. We did not heal it before going to sleep. So take that little 2 minutes to clean your mind from everything that happened during the day, not just in terms of patient health, but everything. Someone said something, or I reacted to someone, anything. I have to finish that in the night. If I have to say sorry to someone in my mind, I say it before I go to sleep. If I have to forgive someone in my mind, I have to do it before I go to sleep. So 2 minutes sorting out the day's karmic accounts. Then at least 10 minutes of a healthy diet before going to sleep. And just before going to sleep, we say those affirmations again. The last thought before we go to sleep goes deep into the subconscious, becomes a part of the personality. So the last thought before we sleep is very critical, very, very crucial in making our personality. So just before go to sleep, please say those affirmations, close your eyes, keep saying the affirmation till your mind goes to sleep. If you say your affirmations and slow down the mind before you go to sleep, it gives you deep sleep. Good quality sleep is very important for the mind to be energized. If I am troubled, anxious, or stressed, or worried, and I go to sleep because I'm tired physically, then my body sleeps, but my mind is creating all those troubled thoughts even in my sleep. And many of you must have experienced it, that you could wake up in the middle of the night suddenly, and that thing is still on your mind after 3 hours or 4 hours. Or you wake up in the morning and the first thought, that thing is still on your mind, but it was on your mind 7 hours back. How come it's still on your mind? Because it was still on your mind the whole night. Very, very important how we go to sleep for our emotional and mental and physical health. So the last thoughts before we go to sleep need to be high vibrational, pure, powerful thoughts for deep sleep. And then in the morning when we wake up, that will be the first thought. So it takes care of the morning also. So these two times taken care of. And then during the day, just before we eat. Another thing to experiment with for good emotional health is experimenting with a vegetarian diet. Vegetarian diet. And really, it's the need of the hour for all our doctors to experiment with a vegetarian diet, see how it makes you feel in the mind and even in the body, both. So it's not just for the mind, even in the body. See how you feel in the mind and in the body. Experiment with it, experience it, and when you get the right results, share it with the world. Please share it with the world, because I'm sure many of you are already vegetarian, but it's just that we're not talking openly enough about it. And somewhere society has got a deep belief system that doctor says non-vegetarian is healthy. That's a deep belief system in people. And so even though many of them would want to shift to a vegetarian, they don't shift only because they believe somewhere in the past it must have happened that doctor said non-vegetarian healthy hota hai. So this is a belief system. Non-vegetarian is proteins, but whether that is health, we need to experiment and see. We are what we eat. What we eat is not just nutrients. What we eat is also vibrations. Just rewind the past and you will see it. When you eat something, you can feel the vibration of the food. You can feel something inside after eating food. Why is it so different when you're having home cooked food? Why is it different when you eat out? Why is it different when you eat prasad in a temple or langar in a gurdwara or in an ashram? What is so different about all these foods? It's the way they are cooked. It's the mindset with which they are cooked. So food is not just nutrients. Food is vibrations. And right now, during these times, if we use the power of food and water, we can really heal minds. Not just our mind, but minds of our people in the family, minds of people in the hospital. Because when people are not able to do it for themselves, we can do it by putting the right vibration in the food and water for everybody. So, Jaisa Ann, Vaisa Man. You see, that is our Sanskriti, that is our culture. Jaisa Ann, Vaisa Man. Our food influences the mind. Jaisa Pani, Vaisi Vani. The water influences our words, which means the vibrations of foods and water is going to affect my state of mind, my word, and behavior. Amazing power. But we are not using this power. So let's start using this power. So the first thing is switching to a vegetarian diet. Animal in a slaughterhouse. Lest if we have to see a few videos online, animal in a slaughterhouse. Is that the emotion that I want to consume in the name of health? Helplessness. That's helpless animal. Helpless, angry, full of hatred, fear, and pain, and then violence and death. Death of one cannot give health to another. It can give nutrients, but health is different from nutrients. So we need to experiment with that. So we switch to a vegetarian diet. Now we switch to a high vibrational vegetarian diet, not just vegetarian, high vibrational vegetarian diet, which means how the food is being cooked in the kitchen or in the hospital. Right now, the water of the city, if somebody had to check the energy of the water of the city, even that's vibrating with fear and anxiety because it's in the air. Fruits, vegetables, pulses, everything that's coming into the kitchen is coming with fear and anxiety. We have to sanitize all this, not just by washing the fruits and vegetables, changing the vibration of that. If you search online, effect of emotions on water, and you will see water crystals. This has been studied by a scientist called Dr. Emoto in Japan. We have experimented with the same thing at the headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris in Mount Abu, that water crystal formation changes based on the vibration and the words said to the water. So if you're saying positive words, you get perfect water crystal formation. And if it's negative words, it's distorted. The crystal doesn't get formed itself. At the Brahma Kumaris, we have also experimented with yogic kheti. Yogic kheti means we go and meditate in the farms. We have taken up huge projects. Farms, daily meditation, morning, evening, 30 minutes. The government, the Ministry of Agriculture is checking all this. The quality of the vegetables and fruits, the color, the taste, the size, the feel, everything is different because focused, concentrated meditation in the farms, on the produce, on the grains before sowing the grains. Everything has power. And I'm sure all of us have experienced it. Take two plants in your balcony, on your terrace, water one out of duty and water the other with love, and you will see two different plants there. You will feel the energy of the plant. So our emotions affect plants, animals, fruits, vegetables, water. Let's use that power. So in the kitchen, let's have high energy words playing throughout the day, especially while you're cooking or anyone is cooking for you. So high energy words like they play in the temple, in the Gurdwara, prasad kaise banta hai? We have to do that in the kitchen now. Cook prasad, don't cook food anymore now. बोलो प्रसाद बन रहा है हमारे घर. So हमारे kitchen में only prasad and amrit, nothing else. Automatically minds will start getting healed. So high energy words playing in the kitchen, prayers, spiritual songs, bhajans, mantra, whatever you like, play it in the kitchen, but throughout the day, let it keep playing. The water, the drinking water will change. The drinking water will change. The energy of water will change. So if you energize the water and then throughout the day, the rest of the family is going to drink that water, it's going to start changing their way of thinking and feeling. Now, especially because you mostly eat in the hospital. So please carry your own food from home. It's very, very important. And also carry your drinking water. बहुत जरूरी है. ये बड़ी पुराने जमाने की बातें लगती हैं. I'm sure you know that our grandparents, great grandparents, they used to carry their own water bottles everywhere. And people say, क्या पुराने जमाने की बातें करते हैं? Well, there is a reason in that. वो अपना पानी क्यों लेके जाते थे हर घर में? क्योंकि जिस घर का आप पानी पिएंगे, उस घर की vibrations का आपके मन पर असर पड़ जाएगा. They know that. They knew that, and that's why they protected themselves. Agar kisi ghar mein jhagda ho raha hai and you're going to drink that water, it's going to influence your state of mind. So at least carry your water and food to the hospital. Very important, but there's so much pain there in the hospital. And then just before eating, just pause for 3 seconds, gratitude, and say your affirmation to the food. I'm a powerful being. I'm calm and stable. I'm giver. I'm angel of God. My body is perfect and healthy. Divine circle of protection around me, my family. 3 seconds पे नहीं लगते हैं. 3 seconds. Just say 3 seconds. You say your affirmation to your food. You've changed the energy of the food. 3 seconds affirmation to your glass of water. 3 seconds affirmation to your cup of tea or coffee or milk. Only 3 seconds. Less than the 20 seconds which you tell us to wash our hands. 20 seconds so that I don't carry a virus. 3 seconds so that I don't consume a vibration that has come from somewhere else, from the market, from the farms, or from the person who cooked for me, or from the place where it was being cooked. 3 seconds to wash that vibration. If I drink a glass of water now, water of the city, water from the tank on my terrace, the tank is exposed to the air of the area, which is creating fear and panic. Then I'm consuming the emotional infection of fear and anxiety of the city just through my glass of water. Just through my glass of water. This has to be experimented with. We are talking after years and years and years and almost a lifetime of experimenting and experiencing it. So please experiment with this. 3 seconds before every meal, 3 seconds before every glass of water, 3 seconds before every cup of tea and coffee. And if you take any medicine, 3 seconds before the medicine. So the 5 things that are going inside me are creating me. What I watch, what I read, what I listen, what I eat, what I drink. 5 things go in, they create who I am. If I take care of the quality of these 5 things that are going in, I have to do nothing to take care of the quality of my mind, my thoughts, feelings, emotions. If what is going in is pure, sattvic, energized, then what will get created here will be pure, energized, sattvic. And then I just use that in my day to day behaviors. I take care. And within a month, 2 months, you're going to start seeing yourself a very different person, a very different person. That's certain. So these are just simple, very simple lifestyle habits. And those 3 things that we're going to practice so that we don't deplete our emotional health, we conserve energy, and then we take care of these things on a day-to-day basis. We make self-care a priority. Self-care means care of the mind, not just care of the body. So when we make self-care a priority, even after the COVID situation has settled, then we will always be in the best of emotional health and we will never tip off, or we will be able to take care of everyone around us and not let anyone else tip off to a mental health issue. This is our responsibility. Thank you so much. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much, Sister Shivani. I had few questions in the chat box, and I think you have some time more.
Hanji.
One question is from my side, like I agree with your this thing, Ninda and Stuti. But when we work very hard for something and that thing becomes successful, we are appreciated, we like it, and then we do harder work, but do more. So if we don't, sink in that appreciation, what will give us the motivation to do more?
If I allow the appreciation to sink in and I consume it, then appreciation will become the factor for me to do the good work. You see? And that's where, in a very subtle way, we start getting addicted to appreciation. Forget appreciation for the wonderful work we do. Even if we wear a new dress, even if you wear just a new dress and go to the hospital or go for a party, we're literally seeking and waiting for appreciation. It's the deepest form of addiction. It makes us dependent on other people's approval to feel good. Now, suppose you've done some amazing work, you worked very hard and you did some amazing work, and suppose nobody appreciated it. Now what? The value of your work, the value of the effort that you put into your work, the beautiful, clean, ethical karma that you created. Only you need to be clear and clean that this was right, even if nobody appreciated it. We can also go through a time when you did amazing work and somebody can come and criticize it. What then? Somebody can. If someone's jealous of you and insecure of you, they will come and criticize the wonderful work that that you're doing. So that's why we cannot be dependent or addicted to appreciation. Appreciation is not our motivation. Seva bhav, intention is to only do that wonderful work and give it to the society. Intention is not for that appreciation that I will get in return. So what's my intention? That's why we are always taught, आपके कर्म के पीछे का भाव क्या है? What is the intention behind your karma? So as we practice it, it happens gently. As we practice it, the intention starts becoming selfless. I don't need anything in return. I'm only doing it because I like doing this. Even a simple thing like you cook a meal for your family, don't wait for appreciation. You've cooked it because you loved cooking for them. That's where it ends. So karam karo and then put a full stop there. Then you will be doing the karma out of your pure intent and not to get anything in return. Because if I get addicted to appreciation or dependent on appreciation, then if I don't get it, it can sometimes become very painful for the human mind, very difficult. And then that becomes the factor for me to be able to take it up more. That cannot be the, some people can appreciate you even if they don't feel like doing it. I can do it right now for you. I may not like what you're saying, and I can say, oh, you're a wonderful person, you're an amazing doctor. What does it take me to say this? Nothing. So many people are saying it even though they are not believing what they are saying, and we get addicted to their fake appreciation. So we are very clear of our karma, and we do it because we feel like doing it, and we do it because we want to give. निस्वार्थ, निस्वार्थ, स्वार्थ मतलब स्व अर्थ कुछ नहीं चाहिए, निस्वार्थ. तो जितना हम स्वार्थ से निस्वार्थ पे शिफ्ट होंगे, इमोशनल हेल्थ गेट्स बेटर. No dependencies.
Somebody has asked that how to stop overthinking.
Very overthinking is actually a sign of my emotional health having dipped here. Let's say, how do I check my physical health? How much can I walk without getting tired? How many flight steps can I climb without getting breathless? That'll give me signs of my physical stamina. Similarly, overthinking, when my mind goes on thinking, the quality is not right. कभी भी notice कर लेना, जब हम ज़्यादा सोच रहे हैं, the quality is not very healthy. So it's a simple sign that I need to start taking the care of the fitness levels of my mind. कुछ भी नहीं करना है, ये छोटी छोटी चीजें जो आज हमने की है ना, छोटी छोटी चीजें, just start integrating it and only restrict content consumption. Content consumption from all these media handles that we have, restrict content consumption. Content is equal to thoughts, is equal to personality, is equal to destiny. So content is directly connected to our overthinking, connected to our personality, connected to our destiny. Just restrict that and add 20 minutes of healthy content, and you will find the speed slowing down and the quality getting beautiful.
Somebody has also asked that if you do something good and you think you have done it, then you appreciate yourself and thank God. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's very beautiful. So then what happens, even if nobody needs to appreciate you, you are very conscious, clear that I did the right thing. This is what, because we're living in times where there are a lot of emotions around us. It's not necessary authentic work would always be appreciated. So we will not be dependent. Sometimes somebody will criticize you just for the sake of troubling you. So we will not get affected. So we check our karma and we say thank you to God for making this happen for us, and beautiful. Appreciate yourself and make that as the energy which is going to make you do wonderful work the next day also.
Somebody has said, can you repeat the affirmation? I'll write them again. Somebody has said that.
I'm a powerful being. I'm calm and stable always. I am fearless. I'm an angel of God. I'm a giver. I need nothing from people. I'm a giver. My body is perfect and healthy and will always be. If any ailment, write that specific one, that my so-and-so thing is healthy, it's normal. So write that as an affirmation. Then God's power and blessings is a divine circle of protection around me. Visualize a white energy circle protection. Then we draw the circle around our family. Then we draw it around the hospital. Everything is perfect. Everything is smooth. Everyone is healed. So what we are creating, that tomorrow when we go to work, everything will happen perfect. Everything will be smooth, no chaos, no complications. So we are putting that as the affirmation, and then draw that circle of protection around the country and the planet. We are all safe and secure. And now you can add any affirmation to it. These are just simple basic affirmations. Suppose you want to add for your relationships, then you add, I accept people as they are. I am People accept me. My every relationship stands on trust and unity. If you want to forgive someone, you just create an affirmation. Past is past. I have released the past. Everything is over. So whatever you want to change in your life, whatever you want to bring in your destiny, you make an affirmation. Suppose you decide you want to wake up early, but you're not able to wake up. So you put an affirmation. I wake up every morning before 5 a.m. So you write what is not happening as it is already happening, and then that starts manifesting. So affirmation means creating here in your mind what you want to create tomorrow in your reality, in your life.
Thank you so much. I think I'm sorry to say, but I think it's the first time I've heard you, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. Josna, you want to say something? Josna?
Yeah, I'm also totally mesmerized. And I think by the reactions in the chat box, I can see that all the people who have been listening, it has deeply affected them. And I'm sure it will be a step, in the direction towards a different life for all of us. And we would really love to have, her discourses and her, beautiful things which she says. I hope we would be be able to have more sessions like this in our term.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have it off and on if Sister Shivani agrees.
Definitely. And I'll also like to share, since all of you all are from Delhi NCR, we have centers everywhere. Wherever you're staying, within 3 to 4 kilometers, there would be a Brahma Kumari's Raj Yoga meditation center. So when the lockdown is over, things are more functional, just feel free to walk into any center, and the sisters will teach you meditation one-on-one at whatever time suits you, whichever day suits you. So just learn. And this is affirmation is a very basic thing. Best thing is to learn that meditation, and then we start creating that. And Dr. Shakuntala, of course, is connected to all the centers. So even if just ask her, and she'll tell you the address of the number of the center closest to you. And we also have a retreat center at Manesar. At Manesar, we have a residential retreat center. So we can also organize a residential retreat for you and your families, a day, a weekend, whatever you like, when everything is back to normal and we can all come together.
One last question somebody's asked. What is the difference between ego and self-esteem?
Its differences like North Pole and South Pole, they are extremes. So ego, self-respect is where, again, I'm not dependent on people about how I feel about myself. People's opinion about me does not matter. I can take feedback from people, but just because someone says I'm good, and someone says I'm not good, that doesn't happen. Because self-respect means I know myself, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. Even if everyone's appreciating me, I know what I have done, how good that was, what is my capacity. So self-evaluation, respecting yourself for that, not dependent on the world and people's opinion, not getting affected by criticism and appreciation. And most important, when you give a suggestion, if someone doesn't take it, you are calm, you respect their opinion. So the self is not dependent on the world. It's self-reliant, it's self-dependent. So when we start practicing meditation and spiritual study, the soul power starts increasing, and that self-esteem automatically starts building up. It's a byproduct of taking care of your inner power.
Thank you so much. I think there are 1 or 2 people, they said they want to directly ask and they have been let in. Please, Dr. Kapoor and Dr. Mansi Anand, you can ask whatever you wanted to ask directly. We have exactly 5 minutes more. Dr. B. Kapoor and Dr. Mansi Anand, are you there? I don't think so. I think Shakuntala, Monica, are you there? No. So Shakuntala, I think
there are two doctors that they wanted to ask.
But they're not speaking, and
Yeah, they are audible now.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there, and there are few more people who have added in. Let's hear them if they want to ask Sister Shivani directly.
She has, just 5 more
Yeah,
minutes.
Arun Palok Gulaj, are you there?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, one question. Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
Yes,
speak up.
sure.
Yeah, in this pandemic situation, all our engineers are working, but they are under the stress. Why so stress is there when their virtual work is there? Why stress is there? Okay.
I didn't understand the question. Why? What is there?
Now in the pandemic,
Huh.
everyone is working under the virtual.
Virtual.
On
Huh. Okay.
virtual,
Yeah.
where
Huh.
in the
Right.
home, morning
Right.
8:30 to 9:30.
Yes.
But
Yes.
still I feel that my kids are under the stress, mental stress.
Yes.
Why it
Yes.
happened, madam?
Why it happens? Because stress is not
Hey,
whether we
Madhavani,
go
Umesh.
stress is not whether we are at home or whether we go out at work. When we were going to work also, we were creating stress. So stress is about how we are thinking about the current situation. There's a lot of fear and anxiety in the air. If we don't energize ourselves on a daily basis, we can get affected by those vibrations. And how much content we are consuming from the news and other media handles and all the messages that we are getting. So what all am I putting inside me? That's going to decide how I start thinking about situations. So if you're consuming the healthy, pure content, if you're energizing yourself on a daily basis, then whether you're in the virtual world or whether you start going to work in the real world, you will be able to take charge of your mind and keep it very calm and stable.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sister Shivani, many people are asking that, how to bear with the personal and family losses if during this era they are not able to cope with that. Do you have any suggestions for them?
Shivani Sundat.
Arun ji,
फोन कर दे तुला.
thank you.
Can everybody else mute, please?
In fact, I'll just share, I'll send the link also to Dr. Achla. Tomorrow tomorrow evening, we're doing a program, which is only about this. It's an hour and a half program, 6:30 to 8 tomorrow evening. How to think, what to think, and what feelings to create, and how to radiate it to the soul who's left, who's moved forward on the journey. So the program is called Blessings for the Final Goodbye. That's on Awakening TV channel tomorrow. I'll share the link with you online so that you can even share it with those who would need it or on your WhatsApp group. When someone leaves, spiritually, we understand that death means the soul leaves the body and the soul takes another costume. The death is only of the body, which means what finishes is the body, not the energy, which was the master of the body. Like when a doctor takes somebody into the operation theater, they will tell the sister, take so and so inside. But in case it doesn't work out, the doctor says, sister, take the body out. So going in was Mr. So and so, coming out is the body. So the owner of the body, the master of the body has left. So that is the soul which has moved forward on the journey. And we understand that where does the soul go? Well, the soul enters the womb of a mother. And so all those lovely expecting couples who come to you, what they're carrying in their body is not the body only which is getting developed in during those 9 months of the child, but it's also the soul which enters. We are human beings. Being is the energy, humus, mitti ka bana hua ye sharir hai. So when someone leaves, we understand that it's a vacuum in our life, but we also remember that all the thoughts we create, all the emotions we create, they radiate to the soul in the womb of the mother. The soul can catch all our thoughts and feelings and vibrations. And that's why 9 months of a mother are different experiences for every expecting mother. For someone, it can be a very comfortable experience. And sometimes some mothers go through a lot of upheaval. It's a lot to do with the state of mind of the soul in the womb of that mother, and also the state of the vibrations that the family they've left behind are sending. So when we understand this spiritually, we empower ourselves with positive content, listen, pure, powerful words. We meditate for the soul who's moved forward, and we take care that every thought we are creating for them is about gratitude for them. For example, instead of saying, आप ऐसे कैसे चले गए? आप हमें बीच में ही छोड़कर चले गए. We change it to, आप जितने साल हमारे साथ थे उसका कितना कोटि कोटि धन्यवाद. Shukriya for every moment that you were there with us, for everything. So we change our every thought, even though we won't feel like creating it. We consciously write it and we change our thought so that all our thoughts which reach the soul on their new journey is truly spiritually empowering for that soul. Energizing is not just by prayers, by meditation, but it's by every thought we create for them. So it's something we practice. And once we practice, it becomes very easy to do it. We think not just about ourselves, but we think about them who've lost everything. You know, हमें लगता है that I lost so much. Yes, we lost. What did we lose? We lost one person of our life. What about that soul? What did they lose? They lost their body. They lost all the people of their life, and they lost all that they had acquired in this lifetime. So whose loss is bigger? I lost one person. I have everything else. They lost everything. They lost their body, they lost all their people, and they lost all they acquired. So their pain is many, many, many times bigger than ours. And so we shift from pain to healing them so that their next journey, their next body that is going to get created in the womb of the mother will be healthy. And we send them with blessings for a beautiful destiny.
Is there anybody else or do we wind up?
And there are two, Dr. Jyoti Malik and Dr.
Yeah,
Sharda.
just ask them to quickly ask.
Yeah,
Yeah, good evening, Sister Shivani. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. And once we listen to you, our mind calms down. So that is something, I mean, always a pleasant, good thought makes our mind calmer. But I mean, my question was that I can understand, I feel gratitude, have the affirmation, I can do all this. But how do I make my family do this? Because the kids don't listen. I cannot make them go to sleep at 10 o'clock. They watch TVs and they sleep at 1 o'clock. How do I change my family?
Very good. So what we do first, Dr. Jyoti, is that we only do it for ourselves. And second thing, if they are not going to do the affirmations, doesn't matter. You can do it for their food and water in the kitchen. It will have amazing effect on them. This is a power which we have to use. It's really a power. Every mother should do it in the kitchen. Even if you don't cook, but just go into the kitchen, food is ready, go and radiate those powerful vibrations for them. Whatever you want, healthy habits should manifest in their life. So even a simple thing that if you want that they should sleep well, they should sleep early, you start putting it, you energize, you send that message from your mind to them, and you also energize their food and water, healthy lifestyle habits. They sleep early, they wake up early. Just put it every day. First, send all those thoughts from your mind to them, because we can't keep saying the same thing to them every day. If we say the same thing to children every day, we will have arguments at home. So we are not going to do it. We send it through the mind power, and we also add that as a blessing. These are blessings which we also add to their food and water. Let them eat energized food and water every day. What they are doing is not really a mistake. It's the influence of everything that's happening around them. Their friends sleep that way, they late. Their friends watch TV and phones. So it's just social, peer conditioning that is happening. So if we can get conditioned by friends, we can also get conditioned by family. So the family has to start shifting towards conditioning without arguing. So do it indirectly through your meditation and prayers, and not necessarily by talking about it every time.
So whatever thoughts I'm transmitting there, they would get it indirectly.
100% every time. But your thought should not be ke ye sote hi nahi time pe. Then that's not a right thought. You have to send a blessing thought. Ye roz bahut jaldi time par, whatever time you want to put, fill in the blank. Suppose you want to put 10 p.m. ये रोज 10 बजे सो जाते हैं, बहुत अच्छी नींद सोते हैं, deep sleep सोते हैं. Radiate that powerful message to them, and also radiate it through the food and water.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Somebody has said, what about members at a distance? Your thoughts radiate to everybody. It's vibrations, it's energy, it's telepathy. Haven't we all experienced telepathy? You pick up your phone to call up someone. They could be in America, so that's furthest. And they will say, but I was just about to call you up. How come? How can two people think at the same time to call up each other? Because before you made the call, you had already created a thought, and that thought reached them. So thought does not get stopped by distance, walls, nothing. It's vibrations and it reaches people. And that's why we take care that we only create pure, empowering, blessing thoughts. And that's why that second homework, no critical, judgmental thinking about people, it reaches them.
What Mr. Bhupinder is saying, answer my question, but I can't find the question. If you can, please ask. And Meetu, meanwhile, you can ask your question.
Ma'am, his question is not in the question answer session.
I can't find it. No, if you can repeat.
Yeah, the question is, if I do a right and honest karma, but in the job end up doing something, a few things under compulsion, unwillingly, what kind of karma will it be taken?
See, I mean, you know what kind of karma it will be taken. I don't want to say it. When we do something, finally, it is our karma. Whether I'm doing it willingly, unwillingly, I am doing the karma. So it is a part of my karmic account.
Sheila, you are there. I wanted to ask a question.
Yes. I wanted to ask, my concern is regarding my parents. They are elderly. My father is 91 and mother is 86. And they are so much stressed out with this corona. And if I tell them, okay, you must meditate, they'll believe in saying their regular prayers. But apart from that,
so never mind. It's for that. Let them do their prayers. Let them consume very little content from what's happening in the country and the world. You know, it's this content consumption which is having a deep impact. You know, if I keep watching the news visuals and if I keep seeing the messages which come on my WhatsApp or, you know, when any platform, and, you know, if we repeatedly keep watching oxygen nahi mila, see, it's a reality. We are not denying the reality, but anybody who's watching that reality repeatedly, it starts creating those visuals on their mind. If we had to flood all our media handles with the reality of those 97, 98% people for whom COVID was just 15 days of isolation at home and who recovered after those 15 days and they were fine. Had we to flood our media handles with that, people would not get so scared of COVID. So it's all about what visual we are watching repeatedly and we are recording here. So please request your parents to just restrict themselves from what they are consuming. Even that's going to take care of the mind and consume something healthy every day.
हाँ दीदी, वो तो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इतना स्ट्रेस्ड आउट हो रहे हैं कि जरा मेडिटेट, जैसे आप बोल रहे हैं रात को सोते समय ये समय, तो अभी क्या हम लोगों ने जिंदगी भर मेडिटेट नहीं किया, अभी हमारे आखिरी समय पर क्या बोल रही हो ऐसे कहते हैं वो।
अच्छा,
तो अभी बीपी भी बढ़ गया कल माँ का मेरे, ऐसी सोच के।
नहीं, आप उनको मेडिटेशन करने के लिए नहीं बोलो। आप ये जो 10 थॉट्स हमने आज लिखे हैं ना, आप उनको उनके नहीं, ये जो 10 थॉट्स अभी हमने लिखे हैं, ये इतने 10 थॉट्स आप उनको लिख कर दे दीजिए उनके हिसाब से। वो 10 थॉट जरूर कर लेंगे। मेडिटेशन नहीं करेंगे कोई बात नहीं, आप वो 10 थॉट उनके लिए करके दे दो उनको, वो करेंगे जरूर सुबह और रात।
श्योर। थैंक यू सो मच। नमस्कार।
Thank you so much. Shakuntala, you can wind up now. I think with folded hands, I thank you, Sister Shivani.
Thank you, Dr. Achla. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Dr. Jyotsna, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sister Shivani. It was absolutely mesmerizing listening to you. It's always a pleasure. And I really thank AOGD, the Association of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Delhi, to have given us this opportunity to bring Sister Shivani on this August platform. I really thank you, Dr. Achla, Dr. Jyotsna, Dr. Monica. And in the end, I thank Jackson Pal for organizing the whole program so nicely, so seamlessly. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.